Welcome to Audiobook 365 Stories.
Miss Brooke was very beautiful, even though she wore simple clothes. Her hands and wrists were so graceful that plain sleeves looked elegant on her. Her face and tall, upright body looked more dignified because of her simple outfits. People thought she was very smart, but they often said her sister Celia had more practical sense. Celia also dressed simply, but in a way that looked a bit more stylish. Both sisters liked to dress simply because they were proud of being ladies from a good family. Though they weren't rich, their family was respected, and they didn't have ancestors who worked as shopkeepers. Instead, they came from a line of high-ranking officers and religious leaders. Living in a small country house, they saw fancy clothes as something for shopkeepers' daughters. Their family's wealth was limited, so they saved money by not spending much on clothes. For Dorothea, the older sister, plain dressing also came from her strong religious beliefs. She thought fashion was unimportant when there were serious things to think about. She liked to think deeply and was attracted to ideas of greatness. She often went after big, intense ideas, even if they could bring her trouble. Dorothea was not even 20, but she was very different from most young women. Both sisters had been raised by a strict plan after they lost their parents at around 12 years old. They had lived with an English family and then a Swiss family, as their uncle wanted to make sure they had good upbringing. They had been living for about a year at Tipton Grange with their uncle, Mr. Brooke. He was almost 60 and had traveled a lot when he was younger. People in the area thought he had strange ideas because of his travels. Mr. Brooke was kind, but very careful with money. He was relaxed about most things, but held on to a few habits strongly, like keeping his old snuff box close. Mr. Brooke did not have the strong Puritan spirit of his family, but his niece Dorothea did. This sometimes made her impatient with her uncle's easygoing attitude. She couldn't wait to be old enough to have money to help others. Dorothea was seen as an heiress, since she and her sister each had £700 a year from their parents. If Dorothea married and had a son, her son would inherit her uncle's estate, worth about £3,000 a year. People expected Dorothea to marry since she was beautiful and had money. But her strong beliefs and unusual ways made some men unsure about proposing to her. She did things like praying on her knees beside a sick worker and fasting, which made her seem very serious. Many men would hesitate to marry a woman who might suddenly want to spend money on unusual causes. People in the village liked Celia more because she looked sweet and gentle. Dorothea's large, serious eyes and strong beliefs were too much for some. But those who got to know her found that she was charming. She enjoyed horseback riding and loved the fresh air, looking happy and lively. Dorothea was kind and did not think highly of herself. She believed her sister Celia was more attractive than her. If a gentleman came to visit, she assumed he was there for Celia, like Sir James Chatham, who she thought would be good for her sister. The idea that he might be interested in her seemed silly to Dorothea. Dorothea had a simple view of marriage. She dreamed of marrying a wise man who would be like a teacher to her. She wanted a husband who could teach her things, even ancient languages like Hebrew. A handsome baronet like Sir James, who agreed with her on everything, didn't seem like the right match for her. Dorothea's unusual personality made people think Mr. Brooke should have hired a middle-aged woman to guide and help his nieces. But Mr. Brooke didn't want the type of strict lady who might take this role, and since Dorothea didn't want one either, he ignored the opinions of others, including Mrs. Cadwallader, the rector's wife. So, Dorothea ran her uncle's house herself and enjoyed her new responsibilities. That evening, Sir James Chatham was coming to dinner with another man the girls had never met. This man was Reverend Edward Casaubon, a scholar known for his studies in religious history. Casaubon was also wealthy, and Dorothea was very curious to meet him. Earlier in the day, Dorothea had come back from her work at the village school and was working on a building plan when her sister Celia, who had been watching her for a while, asked if they could look at their mother's jewelry and divide it. Celia reminded her that it had been 6 months since their uncle had given the jewelry to them, but Dorothea hadn't looked at it. Dorothea, smiling, said they would never wear the jewels anyway. But Celia, feeling sad, replied that she thought it was disrespectful to their mother's memory to ignore the jewels. She mentioned that even strict ladies like Madame Poincon used to wear ornaments, so it wasn't wrong. Dorothea looked surprised and said, "You would like to wear them?" Then, realizing Celia's wish, she agreed and asked her sister to open the drawer and take out the box. When they opened the jewelry box, the pieces sparkled on the table. Dorothea picked up a purple amethyst necklace and placed it around Celia's neck, where it looked beautiful and suited her well. "There, Celia. You can wear that with your light muslin dress. But this cross, you should wear it with your dark dresses." Celia tried not to smile with happiness. "Oh, Dodo, you should keep the cross." No, dear," said Dorothea, waving her hand as if it didn't matter. "But it would look nice on you, especially with your black dress," insisted Celia. "You could wear it." "Never. I'd never wear a cross as jewelry," Dorothea replied, shivering a bit. "Then do you think it's wrong if I wear it?" Celia asked, feeling unsure. "No, not at all," said Dorothea, gently stroking Celia's cheek. "Different things suit different people. But you might want to keep it for Mother's sake. I already have Mother's sandalwood box, which I love. I don't need anything else. These jewels are really yours, dear." Celia felt a bit sad. Dorothea's tone made her feel like Dorothea thought she was better for not wanting the jewels. "But how can I wear jewelry if you, my older sister, won't wear it?" "Celia, it's too much to ask that I wear jewelry just so you feel better about wearing it. If I put on a necklace like that, I'd feel dizzy, like I was spinning around." Celia took off the necklace. "It would be too tight for your neck anyway. Something that hangs down would look better on you," she said, feeling happier. She opened a box with a beautiful emerald ring and bracelet, just as the sun shone over the jewels. "How beautiful these gems are," said Dorothea, surprised. "It's strange how colors feel so deep, like a scent. Maybe that's why jewels are called heavenly in the Bible. That emerald is the most beautiful." "And here's a matching bracelet," said Celia. "We didn't see it before." "They're lovely," said Dorothea, putting on the ring and bracelet and holding them up to the light, as if they were a spiritual joy. "You would like those, Dorothea," Celia said hesitantly. She was surprised to see Dorothea interested in jewels and thought that the emeralds would actually suit her own complexion even better. "You must keep that ring and bracelet. But these agates are nice too." "Yes, I'll keep this ring and bracelet," Dorothea said, setting her hand on the table. "But isn't it sad that men work so hard to make and sell these things?" Celia thought her sister might give up the jewels, but then Dorothea said, "Yes, I will keep these. But take everything else and the box." She picked up her pencil and looked at the jewels, thinking she might like to keep them nearby to admire the beautiful colors. "Will you wear them in public?" asked Celia, curious to see what Dorothea would do. Dorothea gave Celia a quick, sharp look. "Maybe," she replied a bit proudly. "I don't know how low I might go." Celia blushed, feeling she had upset her sister. She quietly put the rest of the jewelry back in the box and took it away. Dorothea also felt uneasy, wondering if her reaction had been too harsh. Celia, however, didn't think she had done anything wrong. She felt it was natural to ask that question. She thought to herself, either Dorothea should take her share of the jewelry, or she shouldn't have taken any. "I hope wearing a necklace won't harm my prayers," Celia thought. "Just because Dorothea has strong opinions, I don't have to follow them all the time." As she sat with her thoughts, she heard Dorothea calling her. "Kitty, come look at my plan. I hope I haven't made any mistakes with the stairs or fireplaces." Celia leaned over to see, and Dorothea rested her cheek on Celia's arm, a gentle apology. Celia understood. Since they were young, Celia had both admired and felt slightly burdened by Dorothea's strong views. But she forgave her as always.